Hey everybody, this is Derek. I want to go over the bouncing ball rig with you. So this is just going to go over the bouncing ball rig that is located on the 189 schedule, and I have the get the scene file here. When you click this link, it's going to give you the ability to download this file. So make sure you download it to your desktop. When you get it on your desktop, it'll be a zip file. You extract that from your desktop, and you'll want to take out the folder here, and that is actually a project folder. So you'll want to cut that out of this and paste it into your Maya folder projects. So wherever you have that located on your computer, you'll go into the projects and you'll paste that folder right there so that you have the files here. Okay, that should be common practice that you're used to. You'll be using project folders. You should have been using project folders all the time. So here we are in Maya, and we want to now set that project to that folder. So click on 189 Bouncing Ball Startup and say set, and then you can go in and open the folder, and then now you can see the different folders that you have inside of it. I've got a couple extra folders in here that I've been using since I've been using the file, but you'll have bouncing ball descending energy startup, and you'll have a ballRig, and then I have a timing chart graphic here for you to look at as well. And so for this first project, you're going to be using this rig. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the rig here as it is. And so you'll notice that there's a bouncing ball descending energy startup and a bouncing ball rig. The rig is going to be what I'm going to look at right now. So here's the rig. I bring it in. It's got a texture file to it, and I just want to go through the controls for you. Notice that when you look at this object, it's very simple. It's just a sphere, and it has a texture map assigned to it. You don't really even have to worry about that at all, because it's not about the texture, it's not about any of those things. But if you were interested in that, you could check it out and see kind of what the deal is. If I could load it up here, it doesn't want to load for me. So what we have is these curves around the outside of it are what's called control objects. And so you're going to have two, and it's very simple. So on the outside, when you select this object, it gives you what's called a master control. Notice that these controls here are grayed out, because this is really only going to be used to move the rig up and down. Okay, move the rig up and down. And I also have some attributes added. These are custom controls. They give me the ability to squash and stretch the ball, so I can squash and stretch it. When he's stretched, I have the ability to bend the object, so I can bend the character so he can bend one way or the other. And I have the ability to rotate and twist the. So this is going to give you the ability to bend the character with curvature. And it gives you the ability to twist in, so you can actually twist the character by adjusting these values. So we can actually twist and look around a little bit if you wanted to. And oh, my machine's lagging here a little bit. I gotta get my orientation back up. Okay. And it gives you the ability to bend or to rotate or direct the way that the object is actually bending. So let me zero these out. So essentially, if I squashed him, I could twist the character. So I can twist his body, and I can bend him in a specific way, and I can rotate that bend in a specific way, so I can have him do other things. So the idea is he's got some flexibility, so you can have him lean or move in a certain direction if you wanted to. It just gives him some additional tools here to work with. So when I animate him, So for instance, if I'm going to animate him in a specific direction, I can set the keyframes for him to move forward, and let's just say in X. So I'm going to set a keyframe here, and then I can move forward in time, set a keyframe there, and it moves like so. Okay. And then I can also use this tool here to rotate the character. So I can actually rotate the character along the axes as well. So as I set a keyframe here, then as I move forward in time to that final, wherever that lasts, so at frame 16, I can rotate my object so many times so I can look like the ball is moving. So what that actually gives me the ability to do, and you say, well, why are you doing it that way? Well, it gives me the ability to squash the character, actually squash or stretch the ball, and I can also rotate the character, rotate the ball, and not have my I can keep him squashed, so when he hits the ground, for instance, when he hits the ground, he can still continue to rotate. And so it just gives you some additional control over that. So anyway, you've got squash, you've got stretch, and you can rotate the character and move him back and forth. Now, I'm going to not save any of those changes. So what I'm going to show you is that what we're going to be doing is we're going to be treating our character as a reference file, for instance. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to show you the other scene that I have. So if I open this up and I look at the bouncing ball with descending energy startup, and if I open this up, this gives me a breakdown of the animation keys that I want to be working with. In our folder, on the desktop, when we do this, you'll see that in there, in the scenes folder, there is an image that is a breakdown of the keyframes of how the actual object is going to be moving along his bounces and then rolling to a stop. So what I did is I kind of, just as an introduction to kind of get this laid out, I made that here in Maya as a means of, before you animate something, thinking through when and where is something going to be. Now this gives you the timing. It's going to be here at frame 1, here at 7, here at 11, but the spacing in between that is going to be dependent on these tick marks. So notice that it speeds up, or it slows down here and speeds up and slows down. So you have the slowing, bouncing, slowing, bouncing, slowing, bouncing, and then things slow down. So this is the spacing, and this is the timing. Now, that's what you're going to be working with for this particular thing. You're going to do 3 kinds of animation. One that uses this chart for the easing in and easing out, the bouncing and the slowing. You're going to be using this chart, but then you're going to go 2 on your own, where you're going to decide the timing and the spacing to show that the object is heavy or light or it's being pushed by something. So you have a lot of leeway there. But the first one is going to be based on this chart. It's going to bounce and it's going to come to an end, all based on what this says. So when we work with a character like this rig, I do what's called references, where I actually bring in not the actual file per se, like the ball, but I bring that ball in as a reference. So here is my folder full of all the assets that I'm working, my scene, my sets, my props, my rigs. And then over here, I'm going to have another scene that's saying, okay, in this scene, I want a reference of that ball. So I'm going to have a reference here. So anything that I do in this scene is going to be using this original file, but I'm not going to alter it at all. So if anyone, let's say someone decides to put a different texture map on the ball file, then any file that has that ball in it as a reference will instantly have those updates. So if I change the rig, say I want to add some new tools to it, new controls, that rig will automatically be updated in all the scene files. So let me show you what you do. You go up to File, you go to Create Reference, and then it'll take me back to my Scenes folder, and I'm going to say ballRig for student, and I'm going to say Create Reference, and it's going to say OK, and here is here's the actual ball. It brings in a ground plane too, so I can put anything. We could have our own lighting setups and everything in here. So we have if we go to Windows and, if I go to File and I go to my reference editor, you can see that it's brought in this reference. Well, I can turn that off if I want. So if I uncheck that reference, it will remove it from my scene. And so basically now, if I saved this scene, of course I want to save it not as my startup scenes, but with a new name, that it will always be using this object as a reference. So if I update the rig, everything will be good to go. Okay? So that's all I want to say about the references and the models right now. Make sure you are working with those kind of things.